Hi, and welcome to the fourth section of the course, Displaying Articles. In this section, we'll create the main activity for our app, one that hosts a list of news articles. And from Android, you'll learn how to set up recycle views. And from Kotlin, you'll learn about null safety, and we'll also learn about some other useful features, like string interpolation, declaring constants, variable function arguments. Articles business logic. In this video, you will implement the business logic for displaying articles. You'll create a presenter and a use case. UI will drive the presenter, and presenter will interact with that use case. And from Kotlin, you'll see receiver functions in action. You'll learn about function variable arguments and file level declarations. First, you will create the use case. So add an interface called articles use case in the articles package. And the presenter will interact with this use case, and it is going to need a couple of methods. The presenter will check if there are any articles downloaded. If not, we will try to pull them from the sync service. That's why you have this asArticles method. You also mark articles as read or unread. That's why these two methods. And you can see here the var_arg keyword. This stands for variable arguments and allows you to pass one or more arguments of the same type to the function. And the getUnreadCount will be needed to display unread article count on each selected category. And you also have suspending functions for getting articles and sources, for these two. And when a user removes categories from his selected category list, this onCategoriesChangedAsync function will be called to remove all articles related to the removed categories. And we also delete all the articles automatically, and that's the job of this final function. And you can add the implementing class now in the same package. It should be named just as the interface and have an impl suffix. And you can see that above the class declaration, we have defined a constant. And it has a private visibility modifier. And Kotlin allows functions, constants, and properties to be defined outside of the class body on a file level. And even though this constant has a private visibility, you can still access it in this class. And this is one way how to define constants. Other way would be to define them inside an object or inside a companion object defined inside a class. Constants cannot be defined inside classes with just adding a const modifier to a property. So they have to be either at a file level or inside an object. And now all the implementation of the article use case interface methods query the database in some way. And now we'll see the power of receiver functions. And we already showed their syntax. Let's quickly check the update function from the repository interface. And this is the syntax of a receiver function. And another thing worth mentioning here is that inside a lambda, inside of this lambda, if a lambda has only one parameter, you can refer to that parameter with it keyword. Or actually, it's not a keyword, but you can omit then the named argument and an arrow, like you can see here. This is another way of declaring lambda parameter. And when you call this update function, inside the lambda that we pass as a receiver function, you can access the receiver type, and in this case, this is the articles object. And if we activate, for example, the code completion, you can see that we can access all properties of the articles object. And this feature is really great, for example, for building domain-specific languages. Now, the rest of the methods interact with the repositories, and we already explained repositories, so we can move on to presenter now. And the presenter will need a view. So in the same package, add the articles view interface. And the view will need these three methods. Now add the articles presenter class in the same package. And the constructor will need two use cases and a shared preferences object. And when the activity starts, onStart method will get called. And the first thing is to refresh the unread count and then try to delete all articles. And we save in the shared preferences the limit for deleting expired articles in days. And 3 is the default value. And we try to delete them. And if after deleting the articles, the repository is empty, then we signal the view to display a toast to the user, and this will trigger a sync in the UI. The next method, onSelected categories change the sync, gets called when a user makes changes to the categories he is following. And here the thing is that we're only interested in deleted categories. So we do this by subtracting from all categories available the one that he selected, and just call the function on the use case that will then delete all related articles to the deleted categories. And the sync category async method accepts a nullable string parameter. And if you pass in a null, then all categories will be synced. And we want to display in the UI how many articles were downloaded. That is why we keep count with this local variable. After download, we pass the download count to the UI and again update the unread count with these two functions. And we also update the unread count when marking all articles as read or unread with these two methods. And in the last method, you can see Kotlin function with expression body. And it's legal in Kotlin to omit the return statement and curly braces for one-line functions. So in this case, this returns a list of articles. So that's why we don't have a return statement or the curly braces. And finally, you have the close method, which just delegates the call to use cases so the repositories get